Man, South Carolina, how you lose that game? How do you lose that game? I know Georgia fans are probably like, dang, man, what the hell? Because, Georgia, if A&M would have lost, I think they would have been in the SEC championship for sure. So, like I said, to lose that, man. But anyway, South Carolina, A&M, the first half, man, Marcel Reed, look, timing was off. Like I said, he just looked rushed. And this for all the people who said, oh, Alabama, y'all had a close game with South Carolina. I keep telling people, when you're playing in the SEC, you're playing tough competition. You're not playing, like say, Ohio State playing all these weak teams. You're not playing like Oregon. You're playing real competition. You see how Texas looked playing Georgia last week. Well, this previous week. But I'm telling you, man, you got to be on point every week. But anyways, first half, Marcel Reed, I think he had 3 turnovers. Man, it was one interception was very badly underthrown. It's a couple, he could have had maybe 4 interceptions. There's a couple that South Carolina even dropped. But he just was off time and looked rushed. But when I watched this A&M team through the year, and I haven't watched all their game, but when I watch him, he plays real risky. He doesn't always keep the ball safe, which I know probably NFL scouts looking at. But like I said, he puts the ball in the air. Sometimes the ball hangs too much. The interception, like I said, was underthrown. But like I said, man, the first half, South Carolina, I guess what you could say they should have done it. Some of those field goals, they should have put touchdowns on the board. But when you're up 33 at half, you got to close that game. You got to. And like I said, you come in the second half and let them score 28 points unanswered, you don't get nothing on the board. Like, I mean, the second half, like I said, it was 2 halves. Like, that was just flip-flop. The first half, South Carolina dominated. Second half, A&M dominated. And like I said, Marcel Reed, second half, he was firing on all cylinders. He didn't even come back rushing the ball. He came back, like I say, passing the ball. This game, he passed for over 400 yards. Like I say, of course, he had, like I say, interceptions. I think he had a fumble, too, if I'm not remembering correct. I think he had a fumble. But, like I say, the Concepcion, Bethel Roman, man, I think both of them had over 100 yards receiving. A&M, like I say, the second half, they showed why they're so dangerous. This is a team that at any moment, you can have them shut down the entire game, and that offense could just out of nowhere get the firing on all cylinders. Especially, like I say, Marcel Reed, he has a great arm. I think sometimes he gets a little careless with the ball, but I say, man, you got to give him credit because besides South Carolina, didn't nobody even expect them to be up that big. And like I said, the first half, I really think, man, this Nick Harbor is one of the most interesting players in college football to me. And he's the most underutilized guy I've ever seen. I really want to see him get to the next level and what he'll become. Because being in South Carolina, like, this guy is 6'5" and can run, like, probably one of the fastest players in football, period, in the NFL or college. And like I said, you seen when Sellers hit him on that little underneath route. He took that to the house. Oh, also, man, what was going on with that the police officer? When they was walking back through the tunnel, he bumped him by accident. Police officer was just tripping. I was like, it was just weird. I'm like, what was going on with him that day? Like I say, the guy actually looked like when he was running, he had pulled something, so he's limping back, and he accidentally bumps you. He ain't try to, my bad. He ain't try to bump you on purpose. And like I say, I don't know, it was just being real weird. And like I said, man, I don't even know. I'm glad, like I said, I think they made him leave the game because, like I said, bro was tripping. But anyways, like I said, this game, A&M coming back winning. The crazy thing was the last drive, A&M had the ball. They was in the goal line. I think it was 3rd and goal. They was like a yard or 2 away. Man, this could almost came back to bite them. It made me think, even though that game was first, it made me think about Ryan Grubb because, look, you need a yard or 2. Instead of just keeping it simple, they tried some kind of misdirection and Marcel Reed should have just took the sack. He throws the ball and turns the ball over. And I think Marcel Reed, he was when he threw the ball, it went behind the line of scrimmage. I think that's why it was a turnover. But like I said, South Carolina had another chance to try to win the game. And like I said, they still fell short. But I guess it's like I said, they wouldn't never been up that much anyway if A&M were making all them mistakes. But like I said, man, great game. It was, like I said, probably the game of the year to this point. Because, man, any team that's down 30-3, you just never expect them to come back. Because you're thinking, okay, at least in the second half, this team is gonna score some. To score nothing and you let a team come back, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. But anyway, hey, great win by A&M with the standings. I think A&M got to be top 4. Bama we dropped the 10th, and Georgia, I think Georgia's somewhere 4. I think, matter of fact, A&M may be 3, and Georgia I know was 4. But anyways, guys, hey, like, comment, subscribe, share. Just wanted to touch on this game quick because I thought this was like a real pivotal game late in the season. A team finding a way to win, unlike Alabama did this past week. But anyways, guys, catch you next time.